Hey everyone, just bringing you a daily update for SOL BTC crypto market cap. It's a weekend, although I suppose it's a Friday actually, UTC, but weekend for me. So it's a prime day, so we have only really got a 1 day close today. It's been a really slow day. So typically prime days you'd see sort of mass liquidations or something crazy, but they do sort of roll over to the next day because it's not until um, 25-ish hours from now that we actually start to see some mass structural closes. So maybe the fun comes the next day, some kind of weekend action. So as it stands at the moment, the 1 day liquidity on BTC is looking a bit bearish. SOL also looking a bit bearish. If BTC was to go up into about that 120 area, it would take most of the 1 day stuff out, maybe a little bit higher if they really wanted to spike up 121. Would take out pretty much everything on the 1 day. SOL's an interesting one. It's amassing liquidity. It's starting to not be so much like a cluster. So yesterday there was sort of like a couple of really defined clusters. The gaps are getting filled. Anything up to about that 200, 201 area would be some pretty good topside liquidations, and it's still got some longs it could take on the 1 day down to sort of like 180, 179. There's a lot of confluence there. It's just going sideways mostly at the moment, just trying to induce a bit more liquidity, I guess. If we look at the 7 day, 7 day still bearish on both. And you can see on the 7 day that cluster sort of stops at about that 202 on SOL and goes down to about 171, 169 area. That's definitely a move that I can see. There's structural confluence to go down to 170, and we've got some macro news, Trump war meetings, etc., etc. So I'm sure there'll be some release after that. So you never know, you might see that entire range swept bottom to top. For BTC, that would sort of mean going down to about that 112 mark. I'll show you something on the weekly later that just sort of suggests that it's at a point now where it's got to go lower if it wants to find something to actually push up and recover from where it is. So we'll see how that plays out. If it went to the top side of all this, it would sort of be up to about that 125 mark, but most of that liquidity would be gone, by the time I hit the 122, 123 area. And if we look at the 30 day sort of shows all the way down to about 162 on SOL, and you can see that liquidity cluster sort of forming back again up to about 208 through to 213, and then you can see it's almost just a dead zone after 213. So the funny thing is 213 is pretty much where the last of the major structural resistances as far as hold levels go. So I'll show you that later on as well. Actually, I might just show you that now because that sort of ties in with where these liquidity pools are sitting. So if we look at this, so this is these are hold levels that exist. So they're sorted by price. So if you look at the entry price, that's where the hold level exists. In the first column here, that's basically the time frame that it exists on. And if we look there, we've got this 3-week hold level at 213, and it's got a target which can get obstructed by trend or other things. So those targets they're not always going to be a guarantee in the short term because it might hit that, go down, bounce off something else that's on the opposite side, and then continue up. And that's kind of the way price moves around, which is why a lot of these ones like 189 down to 123. If you chart all these timeframes, you'll find that they had support trends that sent the price back up again. So a lot of them got down to sort of like the 150s, but they were never able to get to the 123 sort of levels. So this one here at 213 to 162, to me, that has a lot of relevance because if we look back here at our 30-day chart on SOL, well, we're just a dead zone after that. So it's 213 is the top there at our 32-day as far as all that resistance goes. And look down here at 162. So as far as a 3-week resistance level that actually is wanting to move, as long as it's unobstructed, it's wanting to move price between 213 and 162. It lines up almost perfectly with a complete sweep of all the liquidity that's on the board. So we've got that. But as far as being long-term bullish, so if we look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3. What do we got there? We've got 9. We've got 9 sort of major hold levels that exist above price that are 1 day or higher. And if we then have a look and say, well, what have we got supporting price? Well, as you can see, we've got a hell of a lot of support, and they're pretty big. So you're talking things that are larger than and there's more of this stuff actually developing every day. So the longer we stay at these higher prices, the more of these time frames start to close, and so you get more and more and more and more coming in. You got 6 month, you got 5 month time frames that can sort of come in and hold the price up, etc. So if we're still at these high prices, come October, you're talking about these will be bounces that will potentially happen into the bear market, but because they are probably getting a little late in the cycle, if you believe in cycles. But for now, as you can see, there's an absolute ton of hold levels to the underside, very little to the upside. So it's just looking like it's ready to take an absolute pop. Hold level is not the only thing that can stop a price, but you could have trends, you could have break levels that flip into origin levels, you could have well, actually that's about it really. Break levels that flip to origins or trends or holds. That's the only thing that's going to stop a price. So okay, let's have a look at the charts. So our strength for BTC and SOL, it's come down. It's retested that break level. It still hasn't even come to the trend here. So we had the break level at about 158.62, and we've got the trend that's running up through here, which it hasn't gone to or retested yet. And we've got the hold level down here to support the price at 153.15. It hasn't come to any of that. So really, it's still diving through this interior trend, which is there. And it is looking like it could, in the next 1 hour and 24 minutes, it could either pull back up. Maybe you get that little rally like you can see there on the lower time frame. It might pull back up above that trend. So a close over 1.6 again is quite bullish. Or it should. Sorry, someone just wrote something in a group, distracted me. How do you guys reconcile SOL should pump and BTC should dump? That's the exact same thing, to be honest, that I'm seeing in everything. I'm looking at this going, one of these looks weak, one of these looks really strong. So anyway, we'll get to that. So with this here, it's either going to pull back up above that 1.6 area and then just bounce off that trend to try and push higher, in which case, again, SOL just looks really strong. Or it's going to close around where it is now, reject off that, and then come down to the trend or the hold level here to then try and recover from that. So all we really got to see is how that closes. It either pulls back up or it doesn't. As far as the BTC USD or stables risk assets, it's bouncing off that trend exactly as we thought it would. So you can insert one of those "I told you so" gifs here, but that's it hasn't actually gone up and hit the resistance, which you'd expect it to still be coming up to here. So again, that's quite bullish for alts. If it's bouncing off this, but it hasn't really even gone up there. It still should go up there because when you bounce off support, you typically bounce into resistance. And if you don't, well, then it's really just a delay tactic. And so I'm still sort of would be way more comfortable seeing this come up and hit that 66.3 mark at a minimum, or 66.4% would sort of be ideally what we should see. Let's have a look at the totals. So totals on the 1 day is bouncing off the break of the 1 day range, which happened to line up perfectly with one of the 1 day trends. So that is going to bounce back to some form of resistance, which is likely this 365 again. It ranging between those two numbers is fine because it's staying above that trend. As long as it stays above that trend, it's got the ability to bounce off that trend and continue up. The hold level up here at 370 has already been hit, so it's not really resistance anymore, which gives you that break level, which would be breakout to all-time high. So there's some real mixed messages. When you look through this, it looks like in some cases the entire total market cap of crypto is about to explode. When we get SOL looks really strong as far as its strength against BTC, and yet risk assets are actually have been moving down in general. So it doesn't take much to look at the right side of my screen here and just see you've got a lot of red, on some things, and then on other things you've got green. It's kind of just all over the place. So if we look at SOL on the 1 day, so it's extended through its interior trend. It hasn't hit its support level on the 1 day. So the trade I wanted to take yesterday was this 182. Anything below this 182, which would have had trend confluence as well as hold support. And we just want to run that back up to there with some stupidly big leverage and a large amount of money, and then go to the beach. But it hasn't gone there, so it's really quite strong, to say the least. So there is some reasons on the 4 hour for it to be pulling back to 191, which 4 hour, that's the weekly. There you go. So on the 4 hour, we hard closed under this origin level here, which dates back to 29th of July. So we may just be pulling up to retest that and then continue the dump down to the daily. Or the other thing it could be doing is trying to retest this broken range that's up here at 191.8. So, I mean, there's all these little levels that have been created and all these pending retests going on at the moment, which doesn't surprise me. I think it's a sign that they're waiting for some form of acceptable trigger, and then the volatility will bounce between all these various levels. So you've also got that backside range there at 181.371 hasn't been retested, and you've got this down here at 175.8, which is the front side of the 4 hour backside. So with these origin levels being hard closed, this could reject to this, which could send price back to trend or even spike through up to this 191 even, and then you could actually fall all the way back down here to the 175 to break the trend, to then start the laddering process to the upside. So the whole thing has been set up for some pretty cool short-term volatility, and we have a prime day. Got roughly another 24-25 hours to go on that, so it seems like something's coming. They're just trying to induce a bit of liquidity. So that's SOL. And I'll just show you the SOL weekly. So the SOL weekly is literally ready to pop. So this doesn't close for another couple of days, so things can change. But if this candle on the weekly was to close down, then it could create a hold level on the upside of the trend. And then if the next week closed up, it could bounce the hold level created and then head straight here to 247. And there's just 240. It might even be slightly higher by then, depending on how time passes. But there's just so much confluence around this area starting to form, and SOL is looking really strong. And I think whereas, we'll talk Bitcoin, and it's like Bitcoin's almost waiting for some unexpected downside event, whereas Sol seems to be waiting for some unexpected upside event. So that's Sol. Okay, let's have a look at BTC. So BTC is down below its daily break. So this has been playing out very much like clockwork, really. We moved our trend to the top side. We rejected off the trend. We'd already tested the hold level at 119.2, so there was nothing to support it. So it bounced to the backside. There you go, break level to be retested. So it bounced to the backside. Backside levels are typically not a sustainable level. They just create a bounce. They will often move a trend or create some kind of trend. So this on close today, the interior trend will shift from here to here. And you would have to question the little gap that's sitting down here. So, the price went to 116.650. The hold level is actually 116.614. So it's a very cheeky little $30, $40 difference. Now, once the trend relocates, you'll have trend support. The price started from the inside of the upper range, and you have an untested hold level here at 120. So if we think about, like, paint this big picture, we've got some volatility that hopefully will come to market when they start tweeting or whatever about Putin and Trump. We're shifting the trend to the downside. We've cheekily not quite tested the support. We've got a target for the trend up around 120, and we've got that liquidity range that sort of suggests that's the area that we're going to move in. We've also got untested hold level on some other time frame, which is down in here. And that's also the range, sorry, down in here. I should probably say that for those listening, not viewing. It's down around 115, so 115.003. And tomorrow it has confluence with the daily. So all charts are is basically price and time. So if you wanted to come down and tap that through some form of, there's going to be a war, oh jokes, the next day we've decided for peace, let's dump and let's bounce. If you wanted to do that, tomorrow's the perfect day to do it, because all a candle can do is go up and down. It's forced through time, and trends are time, and levels are horizontal. So they are what they are, and they always are what they are, and then trends change. But where they intersect, like intersection tomorrow, means that you might see a dump through all this, a grab of all that liquidity, and then a move. So we've got targets. We've started from inside the range. So we've got a target there at about 120. We've started from inside that range. We're going to shift our trend support, and that will be trend support will kick in at about 116.9. Will sort of be about the price for that tomorrow. And we haven't quite hit that 116.6 hold level. And we've got our exterior trend just under that at about 116.3. And then we could dive all the way down to that 115 level easily, hit that, and then move up. So there is definitely some sort of cheeky little setup getting created here on the 1 day. And I think, the whole purpose of it will just be to liquidate people, really. So bigger picture on BTC. So this is zoom out to the weekly. So this is the bigger picture, and this is the one really scary sort of chart at the moment on the weekly. If we work out trends from back in 2021, what we've done just recently is we've shifted this trend that was coming through here. It's finally been hard closed. So if I'll just take it off the screen. And as you can see, the hard close has shifted it to the top side. We're rejecting off the weekly, and the issue with this whole area through here is that this is just singular candles, so it's one down, one up, one down, one up, one down. There is no weekly range here. It's just pure consolidation. Now, if we wanted to actually find some kind of weekly support to break this trend, it's got to be either this weekly trend that's coming up here, which is unlikely because normally trends don't break trends. Normally horizontal levels break trends. So we have to look at where our horizontal levels are, and our horizontal levels that could be used to break that topside trend are all 110.6 or lower. So unless we are about to kick into a blow off top and push through that trend, which is very possible, and we've got this sort of level, we've got this range trend that comes through here on the weekly, which was broken by this candle on the 10th of February, but it's never had a retest, and it's sort of up around 140. So that'd be a great place for a blow off top and then down to the bear market, but it just seems too early. But really, to get through this topside trend, the TA suggests and the price action suggests that we either do it via means of a blow off top, in which case, bye-bye, we move into the bear market potentially earlier than we thought. I mean, it could take weeks to go up there, I suppose, and we may finish therefore higher. Or we dive this trend down to one of these levels, which would mean we get some real epic macro FUD very soon. We dive these trends, we hit one of these levels, and then we use it to break the trend. The smallest or the closest thing I can sort of see that could break that trend is this range trend through here, which is currently sitting at about 112. So if we go back and have a look at our liquidity for that one. If we have a look at our liquidity on the 30-day, well, if we head down to 112, 111, we've pretty much wiped out everything. And then maybe we do go and take that upper trend. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. The market just seems like it's ready to explode. BTC looks like it wants to take everything to the lower. SOL is hovering around but not quite touching its daily moves. It's creating some structure that leads to, it's just that's our current liquidity. It's creating some structure that really leads to the possibility of volatility, between sort of the 170s, 180s, 190s, 200s, sort of just bouncing around in there. That'll give you a bit of an idea. Just what you're seeing there now is just how people are starting to really take these high risk bets, like they're opening 100x positions with liquidations sitting around 184. And as you can see, we're sort of traveling up now because they've opened these positions up to sort of about 187 and through to about 189. That's that sort of cluster that I would expect them to take based on the 4 hour, which is going to be up around that 191. So, and BTC, it looks like it might go up and try to take 100x leverage up into 118, 119. So people are going heavy short. And whenever people go heavy short, price tends to go up. It may go down afterwards, but it tends to go up and get rid of them before it goes down. So there you have it. That's my update for today. We might have Saturday, Sunday fun day, and yeah, like and subscribe. And if you're more interested on the specifics of how all this stuff works as far as trends and holds and levels and how they all work together, etc. There are some educational videos and concept videos that I'm making over time, and I've uploaded a few of those already. Or come join us in the FibLab Discord. There's some good traders in there, and yeah, people with various different views. They all do different things in different ways. But the funny thing is that there's confluence across what everybody says, and I think that's if you can surround yourself by traders who might all have a different approach, but they're all successful, and if all their approaches point to the same result, um, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be a sure thing. So, yeah, catch you all later. Cheers. Bye.